inside now. Ready to go.
All right, here we go. Right. I think we launched straight into the election of chair for civic year, so I stop talking and pass it over to yourself, Tim.
No, you say who would anybody like to?
Oh,
It's not me, it's you.
not you. Does anybody wish to stand for for chair of the Monkswall committee? That's the word.
No, councillor, no, if you'd like, you can stay for another year. I'd like to make me do.
Thank you very much.
I second that.
Yeah.
Right, I shall accept.
Yeah.
Excellent, that's good. Right. So gets that one. Right, thank you very much. Agenda item number 2, declarations of interest. To receive any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interest from members of the respective business to be transacted on the agenda. If there's any...
Do we want apologies?
apologies for absence received. Do we have any apologies?
Yes, we have apologies from Councillor Morehouse, he has personal commitment, and A. Lipsinski, he also has personal commitment.
Right, anyway, okay, back into number 2. I won't repeat number 2. Declarations of interest, do we have anything here?
No.
Number 3, minutes. To receive and approve the minutes of the Monkswall Nature Reserve Committee held on the 2nd of March 2026, and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in the agenda. Do we have any comments on that? Would somebody like to propose acceptance? I'm going to take Lynn as proposer, Martin as seconder. And then if we can all, I think that's unanimous. And public participation, number 4.
Hang on, sorry,
Oh,
you
of
sign
course
it.
I've got to. I brought a pen. Hopefully.
I looked for half a minute ago, didn't it? It was still moving, wasn't it?
Now I'm initialing here, so send to the, oh, that's the end, that's the last bit, yeah. Thank you very much. And public participation. A 20-minute session is set aside for members of the public to make representations at the meeting with respect to the business on the agenda. Do we have anybody who wishes to make any comment? I don't think there's anybody. No. Right, straight on to number 5. Reports from the Monkswall Nature Reserve Warden. Members to receive a report from the Monkswall Nature Reserve Warden that spans the period from mid-February to mid-May. Over to you, Ken.
Thank you, Chair. It's probably famous last words, but I think this should be a very straightforward report. And most of the things on here will cover the matters arising from the previous meeting anyway. The memorial to Martin Griffiths, Dr. Martin Griffiths, was duly installed. I helped out there on the day, and Tim Laughlin, the local farmer, came along with a tractor and front loader. This memorial stone was delivered. It came from a stonemason in mid-Wales. and it's a lump of natural granite with a plaque installed inside, made out of Welsh slate. It weighs 3/4 of a tonne, so it's quite a substantial piece of rock, and it's just resting on the ground in a shallow depression. It's not going to go anywhere, short of another glaciation. So that's all been done, and I think it looks good. It's just inside the gateway as you walk in from the Stonner end, so it's right next to the track, but just tucked away round to one side. It was completely paid for by the Griffiths family. Management notes. This is just really some updates on progress on the management plan over the last several months, over the last winter really. Some of which I think we know already. The footpaths were cleared by the contractors. We didn't get round to building up some of the gateways on the reserve where the cattle have churned up entranceways and poached it. So that will have to be hopefully done this coming winter. The same with item 1C there, was C1C. A couple of field gates were put in, even though they were listed as being done. Nest boxes, about a dozen were donated from different sources and have been installed, and I'm pleased to say are already being used by blue tits and whatnot. The bird hides, they were supposed to have been painted, both of them, with weatherproof paint, and one of them was 3/4 painted, but that job wasn't finished.
I did speak to the property manager about that, and he's got it on his radar. We've got a new property maintenance assistant who's just really recently started, so it's a job for him really.
Yeah.
Okay. So it would be imminent. Yeah.
In actual fact, it's probably a job for the autumn now anyway, because
job for the autumn.
We're going to be splashing paint around when,
Okay.
because it's right close to the ditch. We're going to sort of dollops of paint going into the water courses.
So I will tell that as property manager.
Yeah, and there's no urgency. I mean, the hides have been like that for some years. And the same for upgrading the little water pump shed. You know, the idea was to make that into another little additional bird hide. Again, that can wait, I think. The information leaflet was completed and published, and hopefully people have taken them and they've been published, helping to widen the knowledge about the reserve. And then the item H there, installation of kissing gates at the end, each end of compartment 5. Remember, the idea was to open up the Stonner copse with a gate at each end so that members of the public could walk through there. Again, that wasn't done. And possibly in the autumn meeting of this committee, we can consider what is going to be feasible for next winter to catch up on some of these items. I've gone back here to item 2. The scrub clearance work was done by the contractor with a flail mower in March. This was the Monks Way fields, and he went up and down there for a couple of days with a flail and knocked back most of the hawthorn seedlings and brambles that were invading the place, but there were quite a lot of things that he missed, or at least the tractor and the flail had just gone right over the top and they just whipped back up. So I organised a working party, which turned out to be an all-female working party, as you can see from the photograph there. They were all volunteers from the Gaze and Salts volunteer group, and they had a wonderful time spending 2 or 3 hours lopping off hawthorn seedlings and bits of bramble and stuff like that. Yeah, over the page. Yes, just to update members on the reserve, the sluice, that is now working properly since the repair that was done in January. What normally happens, just for information, is that the normal routine is for the water level to be kept high in the winter and then progressively lowered in the spring and kept lower on the reserve, but still with water in the ditches throughout the summer months. Unfortunately, since from about mid-February up until literally the last week or so, we've had absolutely no rain at all. The reserve did dry out rather badly by about April, May time, so I had to go back in there and re-wet it. But because the sluice is now working and is holding water, then the water is actually staying on the reserve, which is good. Back in March, we had a tree planting day using the trees donated from the Woodland Trust. We planted between 300 and 400 mixed seedlings in compartment 4D. That was the good news. The bad news is that the spring drought has meant that a large number of those trees, they didn't stand a chance, I'm afraid. The soil there is clay, and it just baked dry during the week after week after week of hot sunshine and no rain. So the success rate hasn't been very good, perhaps 30%. But don't despair, because I've just ordered another lot, again from the Woodland Trust, and they've come up with the goods. They said, yeah, you can have them. So this will be for November, and I hope to organise another group of unsuspecting volunteers to put those in. If they go in November, they should have a better chance, because of course they'll be going in hopefully and getting established during the wetter winter months. But at the moment, the success rate wasn't terribly good. A number of them have taken, hawthorns and the odd oak tree and the odd hazel and so on, the ones that we put in. New grazing agreement, that is now in place as of April. The dog walking seems, the person from the Highway Marine site hasn't been seen in months now. But we do get occasionally other people coming on. Dee reported to me a few weeks ago that there was someone that had come in from the other end. I don't know, whether we can ever achieve 100% compliance. They obviously walk past the gate where it clearly says no dogs and PSPO, but they still came in along the ones back. But by and large, the place isn't overrun with dogs. So let's put it that way. It's once in the blue moon, I think. Fence repair and maintenance. I was always a bit unsure about this, but until I actually had sight of the grazing agreement, it is apparently the council's responsibility to make sure that all the fences on the reserve are in good nick and stock proof. And there are a couple of places where the cattle are being grazed where the fence is fallen over. It's not fallen over as in flat, otherwise the cattle have got out already, but they're certainly on the slope. And they do really need repairing. And I did contact the guy who said he could do it, Steve Weatherall?
Yes.
Yeah. He didn't get back to me, and this was some weeks ago. So at the moment, in theory, if the fence did collapse completely, the cattle would get out, which would be unfortunate. Okay. I'm not quite sure what needs to be done about that. I'm sure of chasing him up again. He assured me that he could do it and that he would get back to me, and he hasn't.
It was
Sorry,
very
no,
good.
it was-
Do you want me to chase the contractor?
Well, if someone, perhaps if someone more official than me could contact him and say, you know, is he able to do
You see
it?
him a lot,
We
don't
do
we?
see him.
So we get some
Yes.
I mean, it's a case of putting in, I guess, no more than 50 or 20 posts. You know, new posts need driving in. It's not a re-fencing job as such, because he can just tack the fence, you know, onto the new posts. The fence itself, you know, the wiring, barbed wire and the stock-proof fencing is fine. It's just the posts have rotted off because it's so, well, in the past it's been so wet out there.
So that should go through the property manager because we will incur a cost as a council for
Yeah.
that work.
Mm.
So yes, we shouldn't be going direct to a third party contractor to do the work, so it should go through the property manager.
Yeah. So, is that going to go, that will then go to F&GP for approval?
If there's a cost, we'll need to know what the cost is before the work gets done.
Surely that comes under us, under our committee, not the town.
Possibly, I don't, in terms of reference.
We've always,
Oh, yeah, I'll check it out.
we've always,
Yeah.
part of the maintenance was us.
Yeah.
And we just generally get the contractor in to do the work, say, because if you delay it months, it could be down, couldn't it?
At the moment, we haven't got a price for it, have we?
No.
No, it's just urgent though, isn't it? 'Cause if those cattle get out, could be liable.
Cost a lot more if they got out.
Yeah, especially if they're on the main road or something,
Yeah.
could thousands.
Absolutely.
Can we do it with a single contract?
Sorry?
We don't need to go for.
It depends how much it costs, but
Yeah.
if it's a
Standard maintenance.
It'll be a couple £100, I should think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends how much construction work.
You just got to buy
The most it works.
about 15 or 20 fence posts, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then do the
Get it
work.
done. Now you've already got attention, I think we just got to get it done.
Well, the thought of those pedigree cattle getting out of the field and running rampant along the embankment doesn't
Yeah.
fill me with
No, I know. It's all a lot of
much
money.
enthusiasm.
I say it cost us a lot more if that happened.
Yeah. Okay.
well, what do you want to do? Because, if we don't make a decision here, then,
I think we've got to ask the contractor whether he can do it and when he can do it, because we don't really want to delay, do we?
No, not at all. We don't want any delay.
Don't want any delay, do we? No. I know he's been very busy lately with his other contracting work. He should give us a date, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
We need a date from
Yeah.
him.
I mean, I don't know.
He can get down
I
that
don't
weekends,
know
couldn't he?
what his situation is, whether he is just a casual jobbing contractor,
he's a self-employed contractor.
self-employed
Yes.
contractor, and it may be that it's just such a small job that he can't fit it in or doesn't want to fit it into a bigger schedule, but it would have been nice if he could have said so, and then we could have found someone else.
That's probably
He's a
stupid.
busy
But as I
man.
say, we just didn't get back to me at all.
He's been quite busy with the pageant and things as well, so very conscious, just slipped off the stage.
Yeah.
Just want to remind them.
Degree expenditure up to 10,000, so we can agree
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Well, you can agree here.
Yeah.
Do we need to agree? Can we take a vote? If we carry on with the report, and at the end of that,
We'll come back to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Item D is just reporting back to paragraph D. This was just to say that received thanks and acknowledgement about this committee's acceptance of local wildlife status being extended to cover the whole of the reserve. Item E, paragraph E, this is this complicated thing about the scrape and biodiversity and all the rest of it. To give her due, and I'm really grateful that Stephanie Bramble from Clove District Council has been voluntarily keeping in touch with me, and she came back to me on this and said that it was unlikely that any progress could be made on the project until the government, national government, makes a decision, which won't be until late 2026 or early 2027. The decision that we're hoping that they will make is that if you want to improve the biodiversity on a nature reserve, you don't have to go through the rigmarole of biodiversity net gain that housing developers had to do. That's the gist of it. And at the moment, we do. But they're hoping that the government will
Common sense.
will
It's
change it.
daft, isn't it? 'Cause when we did the other scrapes, we just did it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Just did it.
But that,
I mean, they're bringing all these regulations.
We've admitted now that we're going to do it, so
Yeah.
we'll rather start.
I do have to point out that,
And
in
here,
light of the fact that this meeting's being recorded, that was before the biodiversity net gain.
That's what I was
law
saying, yeah,
came.
they've all these regulations in there, that's
Yeah.
what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about 20 years ago, you know what I mean? And so we just got on with everything, you know, it's all regulations
Yeah.
and costs.
But it is what it is, and you know, and we're not going to be able to make any progress on the second scrape anyway. Paragraph F, countryside stewardship scheme. The reserve has been covered by the countryside stewardship scheme for 10 or more years, and it's worked out that we get a grant from the Rural Payments Agency of about, give or take, about £3,000 a year. Like all good things, that scheme now comes to an end at the end of this year. You know, they have a lifespan, and the Monk's Wall scheme runs out at the end of this year. The idea is that the government are introducing a thing called Sustainable Farming Incentive, the SFI, which is like a homegrown version. The countryside stewardship scheme was largely paid for by Europe. The SFI is obviously completely homegrown because European money is no longer available. My understanding is that the Rural Payments Agency will contact our agent, i.e. Mark Chandler, who is the council's agent for with the Rural Payments Agency. They will contact him sometime in the next few months, because it will be flagged up on their system that the scheme is going to come to an end. The countryside stewardship scheme is going to end in December, and hopefully the RPA will say, would you like to apply for an SFI grant? In which case, I assume that everyone will say, yes, please.
yes.
And we try and maximise. I mean, I'm assuming that there will be things that we can actually apply for. I mean, that's not. I mean, at the moment, or over the last 10 years, the countryside stewardship scheme, the grant was being paid on the basis that the reserve was protecting a lowland rough pasture area, which is quite an uncommon rare wildlife habitat. Hopefully the SFI will have one of its paragraphs will say yes, you can claim for that sort of protection in the future. If they don't include it, then we won't be able to claim. So we just have to wait and see what the SFI comes up with. No health and safety issues of any consequence to report. Numbers of visitors has increased slightly. I mean, we don't keep sort of daily records, mostly because we're not there every day, but my impression is that there are more people visiting the reserve. I mean, do you go there regularly? You see.
Sorry, I must say that most days when I go up there, I see at least one person. So it is, it's increasing.
There are some regulars. There are at least two people who use the thing as a running track, a jogging track. People from Discovery Park go out there, particularly in the summer during their lunch break. It's a pleasant walk to go around. Then I mentioned here I came across this very large group of about 20 odd people from the Dover District Public Rights of Way group who are walking around there.
I think they were lost.
I felt it uncharitable to point out that there are no public rights in Way on Monk's Walk. We passed a pleasant few minutes when I spoke to them about the place. Reserve leaflet I've already mentioned. Reserve volunteering, several members of the public, and D, regular and helpful feedback on their visits, wildlife observations. Gaze and Salts volunteer team has been very helpful. And then lastly, but by no means least, some notes on the wildlife recent months. We've had at least 2, probably 3 new bird species for the reserve in the last few months that had never been recorded there before. Firecrest on March the 5th. It was a little tiny bird, one of the smallest British birds, lovely little thing. It's quite an uncommon migrant, first seen in March, first record for the reserve. Even better, D had a purple heron, which is quite a rare visitor from Europe. So much so that she had to write a description out, which is submitted to the Kent Ornithological Society for their experts to vet. And then, if they accept it, say, yeah, we believe this was a genuine record and it meets the criteria, then it will go down in the records.
We're getting a load of twitchers down there now, are we?
Sorry?
We're getting a load of twitchers down there now.
No, I don't think people would twitch a purple heron. It actually just flew through, basically, didn't it? It didn't need to stay around.
Touch down at all.
Oh,
It
yeah.
didn't touch down, and then it was off really quickly.
Yeah. And then, hot off the press, so it doesn't appear on here, just in the last day or so, D again found another new record, a pair or 2 avocets on the scrape yesterday.
Okay.
So that was exciting.
Yeah. Again, they've never been recorded on the reserve before. And they weren't there this morning when I went to look, which was a bit disappointed, but then. So, there we go. Over the page, barn owls are nesting on the reserve. I mentioned earlier some of the newly installed nest boxes have been gratefully received by some of the blue-tip population. We're starting a small-scale bird ringing initiative with at each end of the reserve, just catch a sample of the birds. The person concerned is a fully qualified, trained bird ringer. I've been a bird ringer most of my adult life. I only gave it up myself 2 or 3 years ago, and so I can vouch for the guy. I've been out with him a couple of times, and he's very good. And then the beavers, good old beavers, as you can see from the photographs there, chomping their way through the trees. But they seem to, by and large, they seem to prefer willow trees, and the hawthorns that line the riverbank all the way along the edge of the reserve, they don't seem to go for those. And I think the reason is that when they chop these willow trees down, they go round to the leaf end and the twiggy end, and they're nibbling the little juicy leaflets and buds and things. And of course, a hawthorn is full of thorns, so they get thorns stuck in their noses and snouts, and I think that's probably the reason why they don't bother with chopping hawthorns down. And then finally, there was a visit a couple of weeks back now from some people from the Stour Valley Partnership who excavated the pond in compartment 1 a few years ago, and they came back to do a DNA test to see whether great crested newts were present. And so far, I've not heard the results. It's absolutely amazing. These days you don't go in and actually look for the creatures themselves. You just sample the water and take a DNA sample of the water. And from that sample, they can work out whether whatever creature it is they're looking for is actually present. And that's what they were doing, which was quite interesting to watch.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any questions or queries about any of
Yes, I think
it?
start with questions and queries, then we'll go back to the fencing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the barn owl, I think, you had a pair there, I think one ended up as a solo, didn't it? Last year. I remember seeing a barn owl hunting one Saturday morning.
Yeah,
Is that, has it found a mate or is it, are they complete?
no, I think there probably are been two around.
Yeah,
I mean, I saw one a few weeks ago hunting in broad daylight.
yes,
which is
well, I saw, I was
unusual.
quite surprised.
Yeah.
Was it Saturday morning? I was
Yeah.
walking down the road.
And I think they do that if they've got young in the nest,
Yeah,
you know, where they have to, especially if they've got several young,
yeah,
they have to go out and feed not only at night but during the daytime.
yeah.
You know, because the young are sort of begging for food all the time.
And the beavers, are they going to be a problem? Because you put all these nice new trees in, we're not going to make a larder for them, are we? So I think Gaze and Salt, they started putting...
No, I think what the beavers, well, I know what the beavers do. They swim the shortest distance from Gaze and Salts,
Yeah,
straight across the river,
Right.
and then up the bank and onto the main part of the reserve. There's been no evidence of them coming up to the bit which we're planting up.
yeah, I didn't realise they had a den or whatever, you know, or a lodge in Gaze and Salts.
Yeah, well, strictly speaking, it's not a lodge, it's a burrow. Because they only build lodges in
Deeper water, sort of.
in upland areas where you've got fast flowing streams which they need to dam off
Yeah,
for the winter. And then of course, as you will all have seen on wildlife films, they make these lodges of branches and sticks inside the dam. In lowland areas where the land is flat, they just burrow and make a tunnel.
or like a waterfall.
Like a huge
Well, that's not
waterfall,
called
yeah.
trouble though, isn't it, when the river
Yeah.
banks?
Well, this is why the Environment Agency, you know, around the Monks Wall Gazing area is
Yeah.
so interested in them.
Especially around here,
because
so
if they-
precious our river banks.
There is a place along the riverbank which I'm certain is a beaver, the entrance to a
Yeah.
beaver burrow on the Monks Wall side, and the hole must be that diameter.
Oh, okay.
And I have drawn the attention of the Environment Agency to it, but whether they've looked at it and done anything about it, I don't know.
No, really, like, because we, you know, because the flood and the high tides, well, we had trouble with the Environment Agency before, haven't we, where they put those, well, weren't those electricity poles, put the poles through the mesh, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, the burrows where they're coming from is on the Gaze and Salt side. They've reared young there for the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, that's worrying, because we had Gaze and Salts flood, didn't we? Lost loads of stuff in Gaze and Salts, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't know.
All the
Yeah,
salt water coming through there,
yeah. I don't know what
So
whether
much
there
damage.
was any connection.
trees were lost, everything was lost in Gaze and Salts about 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that was during the big storm surge, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But I said, we don't.
I don't think the beavers were even there then.
Oh no, they weren't there then. No, but it just overflowed after the riverbank.
Absolutely.
But the thing I worry about is it can do so much damage. I mean, the volunteers are fantastic, and to see their work be wiped out overnight, basically.
Yeah. Well,
That's a Gaze and Salts issue, not a Monks Wall.
No, I know that. I'm just worried about it.
Councillor Pennington?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask about the grazing agreement. Was the farmer not concerned about giving up the area where the trees planted?
Well,
And how long is it valid for?
yeah, it's an annual agreement, which always has been renewed annually. I've never been involved in it. In fact, I wasn't involved this time, apart from an exchange of emails. So it was handled between the farmer and the property manager. But I don't think there was any issue, and he didn't seem to be that concerned about giving up the field, which is now going to be planted up. And I happened to be there on site on the day when Roger Dunn, the farmer, arrived with his cattle, and he delivered them from the other side of the reserve, from the Monks Way Road. So, and it was fine. It just let them go, and and it was the first time they'd been on grass for 6 months, so it was quite.
They didn't go through the trees and do any damage prior to the...
No, as I said, a completely different side of the reserve. He didn't go through that stono.
Can we vote on receiving the report, and then we'll just have a quick note on the... so a proposer, Councillor Pennington, and seconder, Councillor Ripley, to just receive the report. I think that's unanimous. And if we can, with regard to the fence, what is the what are we actually,
So what I would
Yes.
suggest is we agree here that we support the need for the work to be done, but looking at the terms of reference, notification of all planned expenditure will be given to the town clerk before actual costs are incurred. So I think we should also delegate the taking it forward to the town clerk in terms of liaising with Ken on this.
right, if we can have a vote?
Up to what value? I think there should be a value of
Three,
that.
400,
300, 400.
4?
Yeah, I would be
Mr.
very
Labour.
surprised if it was much more than that.
Can we have a sort of time limit on this, so it can be done ASAP?
Yes.
Well, the first thing is for the town clerk to contact Steve Weatherall to make sure he's hooked in.
Contract, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think a cap of 400.
Okay, may I just raise a slightly separate issue in that, we were all a bit unclear in the office as to how the Monkspool Nature Reserve budget and finances were all run. We had a chat about it just before Christmas, didn't we, Ken? And I think that would be something that needs to be clarified prior to the next budget setting thing. I mean, I'm sure it's very clear, but we're not very clear in the office, and therefore we need to have that sorted so that we're not running out of money.
I think it's always been self-funded with grants. You know, the grants we just talked about.
Yeah, I mean, but
I don't think the town council ever put any money in it.
well, there's talk about
What is it?
reserves from Pfizer and all sorts of
No.
things have been talked about, but it's not very clear. And you know, big expenses have gone out this year, like the sluice gates. And if there's a reserve or something that has been depleted by £30,000, we need to make sure that there's still sufficient money in the pot, and that we're not just
I think that grant
spending.
money from the previous thing.
So, how does that fit in with the potential 400?
I don't think it's an issue for this year, but
one,
it's, I think it's an issue for
So,
next year.
Is that something we can have on the agenda for the next meeting?
I think it's worth putting on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you, I'm sorry to raise a
No, not at all. No, that's
problem,
good.
but
If I can just add to that, you know, something that's very relevant. This time last year, this committee approved the management plan for 5 years,
Yeah.
and each year was costed, you know, indicative, but nonetheless it was costed. And I just assumed that, you know, that money was in the kitty somewhere.
Yeah.
If it's not,
well, nobody quite knows where this kitty.
exactly.
I
Yeah,
would
I mean,
imagine it will be.
but that transpired afterwards.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
this committee approved
Well,
it.
certainly, I think they're probably, I mean, you know, I just
Yeah.
would like a little bit.
Because
more.
I mean, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking, you know, even without the, you know, the extra expense of repairing the sluice, which obviously wasn't budgeted for, because that's like an emergency thing. But just off the top of my head, I think for the next 5 years, we're looking at something like £15,000-20,000 per year. That was purely for management. And clearly, if that money isn't available, then, you know, something will have to happen to the management plan accordingly.
Yeah, I think it's a separate account.
And also that
Well, there's
excludes
talk of this separate
the
account,
remuneration
we need
that
to
I get
establish
as well.
what this separate
Yes.
account
So-
is, where it's replenished from, you know,
But
otherwise it just gets run down and.
well, it
suddenly
is
there's
running
nothing
down,
left.
isn't it? 'Cause that's the thing. That it's made up for the grazier's licence money. It's made up the
But if we can discuss that and actually have it as an agenda item
Yeah.
for the next meeting,
Yeah.
so that we can actually bottom this out,
Yeah.
so we know we've got the money for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's
well,
good, thank you for giving.
yeah.
In particular, with regard to losing the £3,000 a year on not the EU anymore, but whatever it is now. On the
Could
fence.
that be a confidential matter about the pub?
No,
I wouldn't have thought.
No, but there's things I'd like to talk about, but I don't want to talk in public.
you can't talk about public money in the context.
Well, it's not really public money because it's grant money.
It's grant money to the town council, which is public.
Well, no, it's grant money to this committee.
Which is a town council committee.
Yeah, so
I
if we
can't
can.
quite see the relevance of keeping it secret, confidential, why?
Well, I'll talk to you tree outside.
Right, okay, so, if we can vote on, moving forward with fencing, essentially, we're going to go ahead with £400 towards fencing, or a maximum of £400 towards fencing, and, Steve Weatherall to be approached by, what was
Town Park.
spoken to. If we can have a proposer on that,
Propose it.
and that's Councillor Chief proposing and Councillor Pennington seconding, we can just vote on that, that's unanimous. And I think we now go on to the action log. Committee to consider the action log and the outstanding actions, which is on the notes. If I just run through this, not started complete, but we got completed, not started. So D-Govern will pass on the KWT, Kent Wildlife Trust contact details. That's complete, that should be completed, that's not started, completed. I'll leave it completed in progress. So just fingers on screen don't work all the time. Bird hide paint, we've spoken about that, we don't need to touch on that. That's in progress. The warden will forward photographs of the butterfly ride when the grass starts to grow again, for publicity purposes.
Yeah, I can do that any day.
That's brilliant. The warden will contact the land agent to work towards resolving this issue. This issue being trees need,
That's to do
it's
with
been
grazing
agreed.
agreement.
Yeah. So if we can actually sort of say
It's actually been done.
completed. Warden would purchase bamboo canes, completed.
Yeah.
We know all about that.
It's all been done.
So that is the,
Everything is completed
Except
except
for that
for
one.
the butterfly ride and bird hide.
yeah, that's great. And then we have, date and time of next meeting. Item number 7, Monday the 7th September 2025 at 7:30. Well, we've got 7:30 here.
Yeah.
So I
It is
presume
It
that's
is following another meeting.
posted, planning meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your report, Karen.
Thank you.